cityblog.com. We are happy to welcome Gideon King on to Break the Business. Hello, Gideon.
Howdy, howdy, howdy. How are you guys?
Doing a lot better now that we have been able to gaze upon that magnificent guitar in front of you.
The inlay is beautiful.
Ooh.
Yeah, this is my hedge. If I have nothing interesting to say, I say nothing, and I just go like this, and then the show is a smashing success.
He's setting a great scene for us, Elisa, right? Between the guitar, like the black rocker t-shirt, the sunglasses. Oh.
Well, listen, my laptop broke. Okay, I'm supposed to have a laptop and a mic. All I have is my iPhone. So we're this is shabby chic.
I mean, great little. I've always said great little camera and mic on those iPhones. Like in a pinch, they will not let you down. You look 1,000 times cooler than any finance CEO I've ever met. Let me just get that out there right now.
I like it. I like the way the show's going so far. Cool.
Oh, thank you very much. We're hanging in there. So in addition to the music stuff and the finance stuff, I think you're also our first woodworking expert that we've had on the show. And since I love me some Ron Swanson, I think I want to start there. The most unusual thing you've ever built out of wood, Gideon.
Ooh.
Oh. Well, I built a table out of book-matched cherry wood with my wife's name inlaid with a really cool African wood called Wenge wood in Chinese characters. And so I sort of approximated what Diane would look like in Chinese characters, and then inlaid that. And it took me months and months and months, and it's pretty good. If you look really, really closely, parts of it are royally fucked up, but it's generally pretty good.
That's part of the experience, though.
I was going to say, case in point, if he wanted to, he would.
Wait, am I allowed to swear? Because you said a-hole before. So if daddy does it, then the son does it too. I don't know. Am I allowed to say bad stuff or no?
So, all right, let me give you the lay of the land here, all right? Podcasting world doesn't care. Live streaming world doesn't care. And SiriusXM generally allows swearing. However, the folks that operate Slam Radio are high school students. And so we try to, most of the time, be on the right side of the 7 words you can't say on TV. So, try not to create as much editing work for those poor high school students on the back end if you can.
I want to humbly apologize to the entire staff and crew for my language. So let's start there. A heartfelt apology.
No worries. Gosh, I just think of how much I think it can be a drag to come up with a paragraph to write on a Valentine's Day Hallmark card.
Yeah.
And our man Gideon King is writing is carving stuff, Chinese characters into African wood.
Your move, Ryan.
Yeah. So the music and finance piece.
Yeah.
These are two, I don't remember seeing a lot of folks in the school rock band in our high school that Elisa and I went to talking about the present value of an annuity. And so I'm wondering, do these two fields that you've achieved success in, do they go together, or are these just kind of opposite sides of you, like a Jekyll and Hyde thing?
Oh man, I mean, they actually are shockingly similar in that, in a few ways, you have to weed out the sleaze. And weeding out the sleaze. No offense to our brethren and friends in the music business, but when I sort of retired substantially from Wall Street, I thought I was going into a more spiritual realm of musicians. But in terms of the sleaze factor, and managers and attorneys. I apologize. By the way, my brother's like an IP attorney, so I have cover to say to insult you in any way humanly possible. But
he gave you a pass.
The sleaze factor, and weeding out the sleaze and getting to good people is one common denominator, and then persistence. When I built my business, I started out as something called an arbitrager. I don't know if you remember the movie Wall Street, right?
Yeah.
So Gordon Gekko was this hyperbolic version of an insider trading, narcissistic, maniacal risk arbitrager. But actually, risk arbitrage is this gorgeous mathematical business with all these fascinating, amazing constructs. And so I was trained as a risk arbitrager by a really smart guy who took me in with open arms and taught me. And so persistence, a real respect for the mathematics behind the spirit. I mean, you can, there's your chord, there's an A minor 9, there's a G minor 9, but there's math there. There's a 1, there's a 3, there's a 7, there's a flat third, a flat 7, and a 9. And just as you have to learn crazy things like volatility analysis and binomial models and corporate finance in business, if you want to be any good and not full of baloney, notice how I said full of baloney, not full of
much appreciated.
Right, and for deep respect for the younger generation. So yeah, just as you have to learn all of those corporate finance mathematical constructs, it's good if you're a musician, although fadingly so, because of computers and Ableton and the ability just to plug in and make any piece of crap possible. But it's good to know the basics and know the math behind the music. And that's like, if you ask me, which I don't know that you will, but if you were to ask me, and if I were to hijack your show and do your job and my job, and you said, what do you love about music? I would say it's really the intersection of math and constructs and spirit. And sometimes it's hard to tell whether knowledge bows to spirit or spirit bows to knowledge. But man, that's what makes it so cool, for me, now that I've gone on a tangent, selfishly and destroyed the ambiance.
It is great. It's great. It's great perspective. We love it. And Elisa, I don't want to give short shrift to something that he said in the beginning, where, did I hear him correctly, Elisa, where he implied that the sleaze of the music industry made him long for the sleaze of Wall Street and corporate finance?
Yeah. Well, you know what? Here's the thing. Like the world of music, although you were obviously talking about contracts and the danger of exclusivity and so on before, at least exclusivity in that world, not like in M&A, but like, the thing is Wall Street is governed by contracts. And when people buy shares, there's sort of this intermediate clearing agency that guarantees that the buyer and seller do what they're supposed to do. Whereas like, when someone comes up to you after a show and says, I love your music and you remind me of this and that, and let me get you together with this person and that person, the odds of that actually like happening and not just being a bunch of like verbal kind of like white noise, like, it's like less than 50-50. So promises in the music industry may be even more weightless than promises on Wall Street. Don't get me wrong. Wall Street has some bad people on it, and it has some great people, and same with music. I mean, human beings, right? Like flawed, misfiring circuits, right? So like that's life.
Flawed, misfiring circuits. And Lisa, you look like you have about 1,000 questions for Gideon. I don't want to monopolize all of this time.
One of the things that I noted when I saw some of your kind of like awesome promo materials and everything is one of the promo stills I saw wasn't just you, it was you with a whole group. And I was wondering how the music shakes out and kind of what your process is, kind of writing, performing, arranging with the group. What's that whole vibe?
Oh, Lauren, can we put that band photo up, by the way? I just love it.
So,
I love a big band.
I look at music like sort of like going to play pickup basketball. I'm a huge basketball fan and a mediocre basketball player, but I've played a lot of pickup basketball. And like, you get to the basketball court, you look around, you look sort of say like, who looks like the best athlete? I want that person, because then you think you can stay on the court for a while and not get kicked off. And so I view finding the best musical athletes as like the key to staying on the court. And what I mean by that, and really that spirit was inspired, that bent, if you want to put it that way, was inspired by Steely Dan. Because because Donald Fagen and Walter Becker really, a lot of musicians say, oh, I don't have a favorite band. I'm too eclectic and brilliant and wonderful to have a favorite band. But I have a favorite band. It's Steely Dan. Okay, and so they looked around the world and said like, we're okay musicians, and we can write decent songs. But if we get Jeff Porcaro and Wayne Shorter and Steve Kahn and Michael McDonald and like let's name 90 of them, we could drum up something really, really different and really special. And that's how I feel. I feel that I bring songs. You asked about what the process is, sort of jumping around, but you asked what the process is. I write songs and I write chords, and they are influenced by jazz and Neil Young and classical music, and I don't even know what they're inspired by, but a lot of things. But when I bring them into the studio with all these wonderful jazz musicians who are so harmonically capable and are such great musical athletes, man, it just, I'm not a musical genius. I'm not Stevie Wonder. I can't do it all by myself. And so it just heightens the music. And if you're friends with these people, and if the environment is egoless enough, like Wall Street, by the way, drawing another parallel, where people criticize each other pretty hard around the table, and if your feelings are going to be perpetually hurt, and you come into work every morning pre-indignant, you're going to get your ass kicked out. So that's how I feel about the musical process. Come in, take criticism, take your lumps. Don't think that your idea needs to be implemented. Don't think it's the best one. And so these are just wonderful people in my band who give criticism, and they give it, they send it out in volume. They take it well. And so when I bring a decent song with something interesting lyrically or harmonically, man, it really takes flight, because these are just really, really special musical athletes. Just to belabor the pickup basketball, analogy.
Gideon,
does that answer your question, though, Lisa?
Absolutely. That's great.
I I can attest to them being great musical athletes because the music is terrific, Gideon. And I'm sure they're excellent. I'm sure they're professionals, but it is an 8-piece band. That is a lot of egos to manage. That is a lot of personalities in one room. There has to be conflict. How do you, because like most of the musicians that we have on this show or that I work with in my legal practice, maybe they get to like a 4-piece band. How do you manage 8 musicians that are all excellent? So there has to be egos there.
You know what? I really, really try and create an environment of controlled chaos where everyone is willing to try things out, be contradicted, and still laugh and smile. And it is, we are now in a world where like we spend so much time in society trying not to hurt anybody's feelings that we're becoming these kinds of like empty snowflakes. And so like, I really try to foster an environment where like there is so much respect that I have for my drummer, so much respect for my piano player, who is an accomplished jazz piano player, can play his ass off in pop, is a great classical arranger, so and so, that like I think after weeding out some members of the band, we've gotten to a place where we come in and we laugh at mistakes and we change things. And sure, sometimes it's frustrating, but that is like literally rule number 1. It's like literally more important than the triads in music, and more important than the lyrics, and more important than anything, which is just literally come to have fun. This is just a song. We're literally just writing a song. We're not attempting to figure out the genomic sequence to cure breast cancer. Like right. This is just a song. So like, let's get together and let's have fun. And yeah, you know what? Every once in a while it gets a little, what's the right word? It becomes a little more negatively charged than one would want. But you know what? I love these folks, and I hope they love me, because we're making cool stuff. And it's literally the core concept is to egolessly participate in the process.
Well, for the live streaming audience, our producer Lauren put up a picture of the Gideon King and City Blog band. This is just an amazing looking band. They all seem like people I would just want to hang out with. And just from making snap judgments on appearances alone, I think Elise and I were both saying before the show, the guy who's second from the right, he looks like he has lived, and his riz, as the kids would say, off the charts.
Okay,
Like,
so
the man's got stories.
So I don't know if you're cheating or not. Okay, I can't tell if you're cheating. You might be disbarred, so I doubt you are. But like, yes, he's lived a lot. That's
Yes,
Caleb.
he has.
He has lived a lot, and he's one of the members of the band. There's another guy who subs for him named Michael Mayo, who's amazing, toured with Herbie Hancock, who's like got one of these blessed bell-like voices. Caleb is more of like a Tom Waits raspy kind of singer. And without outing my good friend Caleb, who I love very much and who I think is absolutely, quite literally one of the best, I will send you 2 vocals by him after this show. And if you don't say those are 2 of the best vocals I've ever heard, then I will buy you both dinner at your favorite restaurants, because he's amazing. But you're right. he has definitely lived a lot. And I think we should leave it at that for sure.
You can find out more about our guest work by visiting www.gideonkingcityblog.com. You got to check out this music that made the Huffington Post say what I think is like the nicest thing that any publication has ever said about a musician ever. Do I have this right? The new EP is coming out later this year. Do we have a date nailed down? What's going on?
Yeah. So the new EP has 5 songs, right? Because nobody makes full albums anymore, which is super sad. But it has 5 tunes on it. 2 have been released. Splinters is the first one, which is sort of like a cross between. I love Splinters. I'm proud of that because it reflects all my love of Pat Metheny and so many great musicians. And there's just some cool vocal ranges. So Splinters came out. Turn Off the Sky came out, which Caleb, the guy who's lived a lot, is singing on, and he does a killer job on that. And then there's 3 more songs coming out. Actually, one of the songs is a cover of one of my favorite Keane songs, which is Somewhere Only We Know, which is such a
I love that song.
Yeah. So that's coming out. I don't know when the hell it's coming. It's coming out in the next number of weeks, and it'll get on Spotify, and we'll be world famous, packing arenas like Coldplay and Taylor Swift.
Somewhere Only We Know, my millennial heart. Oh,
Great song.
Oh my God, it's absolutely fabulous. All right, yeah. So now I'm really excited to check out this EP and particularly that cover, but all of them, because that's going to be an absolute blast. Again, there's music available now, folks. Check it out at GideonKingCityblog.com. A couple more questions for you before we wrap up. So we got our final question. We'll get to that one. But before that, do you have any other lessons that you've learned in business that you think would be valuable for our independent creative professionals to hear? They all want to become better businesses in their own right. They're all running their own entertainment businesses. Do you have any business advice for them as a financier turned musician?
Yeah, I have a few thoughts. I'm not sure why anyone should listen to me, but if they choose to listen to me, I would say, 1, learn things and know the basics. 2, I would say you do have to deliver. If you call yourself a songwriter, you need to write songs and create music. You have to have a catalog of music to perform live, to sing, to do whatever. And there are just so many young artists I meet who say, well, I'm a songwriter. And I'm like, cool. I'm like, show me your catalog. And it's like, it's like 2 songs in the last 4 years, and that is just, that's not getting it done. So whatever you do, notwithstanding the hideous, awful distractions of social media, and the brutal distractions of life and the extent to which we all get in our own way, you've got to, if you are a cabinet maker, make some cabinets. If you are a podcaster, have some episodes. And if you are a songwriter, be a songwriter. The other thing I would say is, learn something about the world. Musicians and creative people sometimes think that the endeavor that they're engaged in is so important that they don't really learn about the rest of the world. That is what is so cool about my piano player. He's always calling me. I get his weird text 2 a.m. Oh, dude, I was just wondering about inflation and, what does the legal concept of Champerty mean? And blah, blah, blah. What is all this? And I'm like, answering these questions at 3 a.m. I'm thinking this guy is so excellent. He's so curious about so many things. And I find that like the coolest and most successful musicians, they're smart, read stuff, ask questions, go beyond, and realize that there's a world out there and learn about IP and learn about podcasts and what the right mic is to have and so on. And so one of the things that sucks about modern society today is there's no like Ben Franklins, it's like we have these like everybody's such a specialist, like the best tennis players played from the time they were 7. The prodigy guitar player were like, they've only done that. And like, I think maybe to become a holistic artist or a holistic business person, it would be cool to just expand your horizons in general and be really curious about a lot of different things, no matter what, even if it's just how a pizza place runs or how, the difference between stainless steel frets and plain metal frets. You gotta just keep learning stuff. Don't shut down and think that you're so important in this little self-involved endeavor of creating things that somehow it's at the exclusion of becoming a round human being. Because you know what? People like Bono, Donald Fagen from Steely Dan, these are round people intellectually. Like they're they're like intelligent. If you hear Robert Plant talk, he's pretty smart actually. If you listen to Jacob Collier talk, he's pretty smart. He's an intelligent, well-spoken guy who obviously values the spoken, language. I guess I'm rambling, but it would be nice to just be well-rounded and not just be this organism that's sort of festering around a musical instrument or the idea that you're an artist, if you know what I mean. Plus social media, man, I don't know. It's just like, I'm on it. I hate it. I suck at it. But it's like end of days psychologically.
Well, my last question was going to be, do you have any tips to be more effective on social media? I'm just kidding. This is so the last question I ask every guest, you kind of already did, but let's see if we can get one more tip out of you. In closing, Gideon King, do you have any last tips for the indie creators out there to help them move their careers forward?
Yeah. Make damn sure that you understand your position and your place in the universe. There are asses that you're going to need to kiss. Kiss them, not obsequiously, not as some kind of disgusting sycophant, but you have to please, as Bob Dylan said, right? You have to serve somebody. You got to serve somebody. Serve your manager. If your manager says more content, more posts, more this and that, do it. If you don't like how cold the water is on the tour bus, don't complain. Drink the water, whatever temperature it is. You have to serve other people to be successful. It's painful and it hurts. And you may go to bed every night cursing their name and stabbing your boss, a doll with your boss's face on it. But you gotta put your time in to be successful at anything and be willing to build it brick by brick and do not be a prima donna. I don't know if anybody uses that expression anymore. It might be politically incorrect. I may have just gotten canceled. But if that expression is still allowed, don't be one. Don't be a baby. Work hard, take criticism, write songs, get it done, do stuff. And if you have to get a job and then write songs at night, do it.
Our guest has been, go ahead.
Yeah, work.
Yeah, our guest has been indie artist and finance CEO, Gideon King of Gideon King and City Blog. You can find out more about our guest's work by visiting GideonKingCityBlog.com. Gideon, this has been an absolute treat. We want to hear more stories. We want to hear more from you. Please don't be a stranger. We'd love to have you on again real soon. Keep us posted on the EP.
And I appreciate all the energy you guys bring. I've been on podcasts before, and you guys bring the energy, and that's key, because there are some podcasts that do not bring the energy. So there's my compliment. There it is. Let's finish on that.
How much do I owe you?
Yeah, send me $100. It's fine.
Yeah. We will take it. Our guest, our thanks, I should say, to Gideon King. Our thanks to producer Lauren and to you, Elisa Rockdock. And thanks to all you viewers and listeners for checking out Break the Business. We will see you next week.